Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am taking photos in Zurich in Switzerland. I was in Switzerland recently and had a couple of hours to kill and decided to go for a rainy street photography session. This wasn't my first time in Switzerland, so you'll see that I don't use maps a lot, but I am just checking time to make sure I could get to my train station because I had a connection to take. And I'll be commenting on some of the photos, what I saw, some composition decisions, and although you can hear also some of my live thoughts in the video, I prefer doing the voiceover as it allows me to fully concentrate on what I'm shooting. And as usual, the first photos quality are not the best ones, as it takes me some time to get in shape, but I am quite satisfied with some of the photos I took that day. And I hope you enjoy it. And this is the first one. You'll see a lot of trams, as this is one of the main photographic elements that I found that day in Switzerland. Beginning, I focused on this main street where there are all the beautiful Swiss flags everywhere, and the second picture I took was this one when I saw this tram coming towards me, and I wasn't sure if it would be stopping or not, but yeah, it had stopped there. And initially I was a bit pissed because there's this little tram that was rushing next to me, but in the end I like a bit the balance of the composition, and yeah, turns out to be an interesting image. And the next picture I took were this set of two pictures. So one of the things I was looking for was to use the trams as a way to also capture the life of Zurich. And here I was interested in seeing how the people on the other side of the street would look like through the windows of the tram or just the tram. And I was quite lucky to actually see this one where it was this person standing with the umbrella, and at that moment just the two wagons were rushing in front of them, and I am quite satisfied with how this picture ended up looking like. One of the things I look for in these sort of rainy situations are reflections, and usually get close to the ground, but for example in this case there was this reflection on the glass of this window, and this woman was wearing these very popping orange pants that I liked how they contrasted with the gloomy weather that was in Switzerland that day. And because of the streets were empty, it was interesting also to grasp some different images. Here you see all these chairs and tables, and the wet tables made for a nice photography. There were all these cars passing by, and yeah, I liked how it looked like. And at the end, with the edit, it gave this more bluish tone that I usually like and that I maybe abuse a bit in some images. And as I said before, this wasn't my first time in Zurich, so I already knew a bit the area, and I have to say I've always been in Zurich during sunny summer days. So this time when I knew that it would be raining, I was actually excited to get to see the city in a different environment. And these are some of the pictures that I liked taking in with this vibe. I have to say I originally wanted to bring all my gear for this trip, but I couldn't fit everything into one small bag, so I just came with my 35mm. And that's why for some images maybe I'm not using the most appropriate lenses, but it's also a way to challenge myself and take better pictures, hopefully. Here I saw that there was one tram waiting at the station or at the stop, and there was this bicycle in front of it, and although initially my thought was not to take the picture because there was someone blocking the full view of the tram, I like how it ended up looking like, and also that the other tram did not get in the way before in the picture, so that's interesting. And then I saw these two people that were just rushing on the rain with the bags and felt like a bit touristy and very representative of what tourists nowadays is, that no matter where and no matter how, you will always find someone wearing a suitcase and visiting any city. And I also liked to venture into some of these small alleys between main streets because they always make for great pictures, because you can just be waiting for someone to pass, and in this case I was just in front of this shop with this interesting light, and I waited around a minute and a half or two for someone that I liked to come across, but it ended up being a nice picture. And here is a good example of when I said that I could be using different lenses. So here I saw there was a tram coming at me, and I got close to the ground because there was a nice reflection, but I had to move before the tram arrived. And here, if I had two different lenses, maybe the image would have looked a bit better. Still, I'm quite satisfied with how this one ended up looking like. And next, what I saw was this spiderweb style door that was different to what I had seen in many other places and made for a great picture. For the next one, I saw this circular window that had some light in it, and although the edit was a bit challenging, it looked like an interesting one to shoot at, and something that was maybe not in plain sight. Another of the things that Switzerland is well known for are expensive cars, and in this case I found this Bentley that was perfect for photography. So you can see that I took different pictures, first like the classical one, and even more with the water drops. But I also saw that the light pattern was interesting, and later on, as you will see, there were also some trams passing by, and I could see the light of the tram reflected on the, let's say, lights of the car, and those were also some different images that I wanted to take. This is also a classical one of the back of the Bentley with the name there, and this is the one I was talking about, where you can see how I waited in position just for the trams to come by, and you'll see that this is the second one where you can see the drops, you can see the line of the tram, and yeah, the light of the car. And here I saw this view of the river that initially I wanted to take the vertical one, but I don't even show the image because it didn't make sense. Here, of course, with these sort of houses that were next to the water, the horizontal version was the one that made the most sense. And I actually like how the glow that water gives and that rain gives to the city. This next image is one of the funny ones. I saw this person that was carrying an umbrella that said okay, and yeah, it's a very simple image, but something that in street photography I like to capture a bit the different and odd things that you can see. And of course, excuse the pun that I made when after taking the picture I just said okay. And then I was walking on that street, and I found myself in a little alley, as you will see now, that basically had a nice view with these flags, and of course there was no one there. And this was a case to get close to the ground, to get a bit of a bouquet with these classical stones of the old town of any European city. And I'm quite satisfied with how this one ended up looking like. And this is a bit of cheating, because I remembered that this building was there. I took some nice pictures last year summer, but I wanted also to see how they would look like with this more rainy weather. And I found this small tree plant that I could use as a foreground and to give a bit of more substance to this image, because otherwise it's just this one. And later on I also found this little alley that here I had to go down because there were a couple of lights and a couple of different things that were getting in the way of the image. And here I had two images, the horizontal one that I got a bit to the right so I could get more like the sense of the alley. That's the one you're seeing now on screen. And then of course I could just walk a bit more, and as I said before, waiting in one of these little alleys for people to come by. Also there's this light coming in my direction, giving a nice reflection to the ground, and I just waited for some time until someone passed, hopefully with an umbrella. I was lucky enough, and this is the final image I got from this little street. And then I was already rushing a bit to the train station because it was getting late, but I found this very typical street that you might have seen in some online posts, blog posts or videos or anything related to Switzerland. But here I wanted to get two pictures. First, this is the basic one. I had to get a bit closer to the street because there were this like orangey or green lights on the left hand side that didn't match the tone of the image. But what I wanted was someone crossing the street, and I was lucky enough to have this couple that were just strolling and on the scene, and I could use them as elements in my image. And this last part of the video is all about trams. You'll see that this is an area that trams come by every 2-3 minutes, and it was way wetter than when I had been there before. And here, like in one same position, I got two different images. The first one, I was looking at that arch of the trees that were opened and were giving like a different tone to the image, and then just the train coming by, and afterwards, because I could get also these more red lights that they have in the back, the brakes, and that was a set of 3 pictures in just under 20 seconds. And the next one, you will see that this picture, there's like a big church at the end and 2 trams. One was coming, one was going, and I think that this was also quite of a unique picture. And here I saw that there was a tram coming by, and I had to run a bit to get in position to actually get the view I wanted, because there's a tram and there's also a church behind. So I got low, and this is also maybe one of my favorite pictures from that session. You see me checking if I got the right flare on the train light, because that's what I was aiming for, as you saw in the edit. And finally, there are these 2 images that I don't like a lot how I ended up editing them, but I think that are a bit of a contrast with this more classical Switzerland style. These are more modern and not so Swiss images that I wanted to include as well. And finally, I also saw again one of these trams coming on my way, and basically I got low, and this is for sure my favorite picture of that day, especially because there's the flag of Switzerland, there's the tram, it can't get more Swiss than that. And on my way back to the station, I saw this place that I had already spotted before, but it wasn't raining enough at that point, and here I could just get in a spot where you could see the tram coming on your direction, although as you see the tram that goes left or right. And I'll leave you with the wet annual from the day that will say goodbye to you.
Cool, so yeah, I was back at Zurich Central Station. Hope you had a great time, and yeah, if you want to see more trips coming soon, feel free to subscribe, and see you out there with the camera. Bye bye.